But eventually he gets the full story and he does a drawing. And the drawing is what we described earlier. Sort of like ant-like head, but without the mandibles, without antennas. So if you imagine that, and you can see pictures afterwards, that's pretty much the standard gray alien head. Pretty close. Great big eyes.
Yeah, I can see that.
Sort of like, yeah. But he's not saying these are little men. Like they're a regular person size or taller are on this ship, but they're very spindly. So that sort of falls in line with like science and stuff like that, because if you're in outer space, like you lose mass, like there's no gravity helping you build muscle and that kind of thing. So things that spend a lot of time in space, maybe even on like generational ships or something like that, they're going to be spindly. And they just do terrible things to him, experiments to him. And he's certain at this point that this happened. But how can he be 100% sure that this happened to him?
The only way is if he would have to have something inside of his body, like an implant or like a surgery. Sometimes people find like surgeries that can occur.
Yeah. Another good way might be though, is if he could get those other guys to have the regression therapy as well and see if they corroborate his story, because to him, they all got sucked up in that beam or whatever. So this didn't just happen to him. Are you interested in more of their story?
Of course. We got to know what goes on, Nick.
After recovering his memories, Jim needed to know if they were real. He practically demanded the others attend hypnotic regression therapy as well. They agreed. Jack remembered that the beam actually did hit the canoe. He recalled it as some kind of transport beam, and the next moment he knew he was on his back on a hard surface. He was paralyzed, but he could move his eyes. He could see to his left that the other 3 men were in the room with him, all sitting on benches. He wondered why he was laying there paralyzed, and they were sitting there, with blank stares not helping him. He tried to figure out the space he was in, but it was so bright, so very bright he couldn't see the walls themselves. Out of the light, he remembered 3 hazy figures come to each of his sides, and one standing at his feet. His drawing of the creatures, once they came into focus, matched Jim's almost exactly. He was terrified. He could only think of running, but still could not move.
So, Jack was the next guy up. He agreed to this. He goes into hypnosis, and he starts freaking out as well. Because now he remembers that the beam brought them up into the ship. And what he remembers is laying on a hard surface, completely unable to move except for his eyes. So he can look around and see what's around him, but he can't do anything else. And out of the corner of his eyes off to the left, he sees the other 3 guys sitting on a bench, eyes straight forward, not moving, not saying anything. And into focus come 3 of these beings. One on each side of him, one at his feet. And they start to perform experiments on him. Now, he also drew these creatures afterwards. And they looked identical to the drawings that Jim had made in his sessions.